is up, everyone, after a weekend off because one of us was traveling, not me. We will be doing another EPL weekend breakdown with my friend and yours, Leonardo. Leo, how are we feeling?
Hello.
Oh, that good. You're feeling that good.
I'm not feeling good after last week. I was traveling, so thankfully I didn't watch any of it and pretend it didn't happen. And I'm excited for a brand new week.
I wonder what you would be referring to that didn't happen. I don't know. What could you be referring to? I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know, but it could be that the best team in English history went to the home of the second best team in English history and won 5-0. I mean, it's really a shame that you had to miss it, but it happened. Liverpool won 5-0. It's fun. It happened. We move on with life. I mean, on lesser teams, Chelsea also won 7-0. So both of those teams are now more than plus 20 in goal difference. I mean, if you look at the table, and I know that this kind of dives into a last weekend review and this weekend preview, Chelsea, Liverpool, and City look like they're on a different planet than the other 17 teams in the league. Nobody else has a goal difference above 6. Nobody else has scored 20 goals. All three are on over 20 points. Nobody else is over 17. I mean, it is quite evident that there are 3 teams that are playing one game of football and 17 that are just hanging around. So it's interesting to see how that all divvies out. But a fun thing is, first game of the weekend, tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m., we have Leicester City against Arsenal. Both of those teams are sitting right in the middle of the table and both believe that they should be up with the Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City cluster. And I mean, Arsenal haven't lost here recently. Leicester is coming off of 4 straight unbeaten games, winning the last 2. So what's your feel on that game, Leo?
I think it's going to be one of the ones that I like to watch about EPL, which I don't like to watch a good ass team beat down on a weaker team. That's boring. I don't think a lot of people do. But when it's 2 middle of the table teams that have been to the top,
right,
and have been not doing so hot or not playing as they're expected in terms of, well, both teams, right? I think they both have a chip on their shoulder and they're going to come out guns swinging. Maybe not the best, most safest defensive style, but I'd like for them to come out swinging and just try to get 3 points and try to get back to where they belong, which is probably 1 or 2 more spots up.
Well, I mean, both teams, as we lightly alluded to, are in particularly stellar form. I mean, I say particularly stellar, but I'm looking at Leicester's results since they lost to Brighton on September 19th. You have a draw against Burnley, a draw against Crystal Palace, a win against Man United, but Man United aren't even a legitimate team, a win against Brentford in the league. I mean, you have some scatterbrained results in the cups as well. I mean, yeah, they beat Millwall, but then they lost to Legia Warsaw. They had to come back against Spartak Moscow, had to go to penalties against Brighton in the League Cup. So there are still some questions there. Arsenal, on the other hand, they've been red hot lately. They're really coming into their own because since they lost to Man City, they lost 5-0 to Man City. You got a win over Norwich, a win over Burnley, a win against Wimbledon in the Cup, a win against Tottenham, a draw against Brighton, a draw against Crystal Palace, a win against Villa, a win against Leeds in the Cup. So they went as low as you could go, getting blown out by Man City. And since then, they've looked like they're a solid team, a very, very solid team. And they spent a lot of money. And maybe they're rounding into becoming the team that everybody thinks they can be. And going to Leicester and getting 3 points would be massive for that. I mean, they're definitely playing more confident. Their defense, I mean, you allow 3 to Chelsea, 5 to City, 2 early to Brentford, and you're still only on 13 goals allowed. Arteta's obviously doing something. So they're in a good way right now. I think this is going to be a very fun game. It might be the best game of the weekend, which again, to kick it off with such a tasty matchup is always lovely. What do you see that could go astray in this game? I know, and I'm obliged to mention it. I know you were very high on Leicester City. And of course, they have not been the team that they should be this season. How do you see this game kind of falling off the rails, if it does?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of trap you're leading me into, but
I'm not leading you into a trap. I'm just asking. I mean, how could you see this game not being a good game either way? How do you see this become, if it could, becoming like a boring game?
Both teams come out defensively trying to keep 1 point and not trying to move up because they know they're up against some killers, people that want to kill. Like Vardy's hungry for a goal after a down spill with the whole team. And the whole team is, I mean, you got a team full of fighters. They got grit. So I think that if both teams are scared of that from each other, from the other team, that's the worst thing that could happen. Or, I mean, besides the red card and then it being an unfair match or a stupid ass penalty.
Right. Well, Vardy is an interesting character in this game because even though Leicester have struggled this year, Vardy's still second in the league in goals. And to be second behind Mo Salah in anything is impressive because where he's going this year is ridiculous. But Vardy has been at the end of everything. And he's been doing, to be fair to him, he's been doing this for the better part of the last half decade. But the fact that he's rolled back, because last year was kind of tricky for him. There were even some people that were saying that Kelechi Iheanacho would take a spot eventually. Patsendaka coming in from Red Bull Salzburg might take a spot. And Vardy's answered with 7 goals in the league. So that's very impressive. So for me, the biggest thing to watch is Jamie Vardy against an Arsenal defense that people are talking up, that people are talking big talk about. If you could shut down a striker like Vardy, that's impressive. And I know Arsenal fans would say, oh, we shut down Harry Kane. Harry Kane's not on the same level as Jamie Vardy. Harry Kane, his head's not in the game. So what is your prediction score-wise? And mind you, this game is at Leicester.
I think it's going to be a 2-1 Arsenal, unfortunately.
I don't want to be boring, but that is the exact scoreline I've got. I know that is tremendously boring and not going to stimulate a discussion, but
this is a rare occasion.
I know. Very rare occasion. I think that Arsenal, they spent the money, they got the players in. Obviously, the beginning of the season did not go the way they wanted it to. But I think they've righted the ship. And I think from this point forward, they're going to play like a team between 4th and 6th in the league. I think that the bottom of the table, laugh at Arsenal is going to, by the end of the season, is going to look funny. That people were like, oh yeah, Arsenal was shit. Well, they're not going to play like shit, I don't think. Moving on to the next game, the 10 o'clock block is really feast or famine. All three of the big teams play in the 10 o'clock block, and then the other two games are kind of boring, quite frankly. Opens with Watford Southampton. Now, when I say open, it's just how I see it on the screen, but I mainly want to go through the two boring games before I go to the three more exciting games. Watford Southampton. Watford, if you were in the 79th minute last week, you were ready to say, rest in peace, Watford. And then out of nowhere, they rose from the ashes to beat Everton with Josh King getting a hat trick. Absolutely out of nowhere. Absolutely out of nowhere. They revived their entire season, and which is kudos to them. And Southampton, I mean, record-wise, not impressive, but they put in some impressive performances. Watford, I know you've said nice things about them. They definitely have some attacking flair. Defense is obviously a massive question. We didn't do a breakdown of 2 weekends ago, so we didn't talk about how Danny Rose got put on roller skates 2 weeks ago. But again, they looked better last week. And Claudio Ranieri's there. Maybe I'm putting some lipstick on a pig right now of a game that we're probably not going to say much about, but I think that it will be a competitive game at the very least. Leo, do you have any thoughts?
I think it might be the 10 o'clock game. Because otherwise you're looking at Liverpool, Brighton.
Well, we'll get to the games when they come up.
I'm looking at the other 10 o'clock game. I see 2 or 3 beatings and one possible good game. Besides this Watford Southampton that are the most evenly matched, I think, between all the games.
That's the fairest thing to say. It is probably the most evenly matched up. Well, yeah, it probably is the most evenly matched up game, and it's at Watford. They really need to get the taste out of their mouth of losing 5-0 2 weekends ago. They need to get that out of their mouth. And you could say they got that out of their mouth by beating Everton, but they didn't do it at home. They need a nice win.
I think these are just two teams that just naturally just come out swinging anyway, because all they have, or all that I've seen that I like about these two teams, is a decent offensive attack, or they're dangerous. They like to get close to goal and shoot, both forwards on both sides. So I don't know, that's why I like both teams. I like watching them when they pair up against another good team. And like I said before, these teams are at the bottom. They're fighting for it. They're getting dangerously close to the relegation zone. So I don't know. I could see it being one of the best 10 o'clock games.
I have it as 2-1 Watford. How about you?
2-2. It's gonna be a high scoring game, I hope.
Okay. As I said, we're going to kind of play around the big 3 games. Burnley Brentford. Brentford, of course, everybody was as high as you could have been on Brentford after they get the draw against Liverpool, and then they beat West Ham, and then they lose to Chelsea and lose to Leicester City. I will phrase it this way. I don't love Burnley. I've said it before. They're dragging apes out there. Which Brentford do you think is the Brentford? The team that drew against Liverpool and beat West Ham, who, by the way, those teams are second and fourth in the table, or the team that lost to Leicester and lost to Chelsea? Which one is the real Brentford?
I mean, all right. So there's this one thing that I want to say about fairness for Brentford, because the way they lost to Chelsea, I can't remember the other game that they lost, but the way they lost to Chelsea is they were 2-1 in the last 45 minutes, maybe a little less.
Mm-hmm.
The last, I don't know, most of the second half, they had Chelsea on their back like a dog with its tail between their legs, just waiting for the game to stop. They were making time. They're wasting time on purpose, which is not what a championship team does when they're not scared, or which is what a championship does when they're scared.
Right.
You know, and even if you say which team are we going to see, the Brentford that lost against Chelsea, I kind of hope that is that team, but with better luck, right? Because that team is the same team that's gotten them so far, that's gotten them winning, for most of the season up until recently. So I think Brentford has really turned my opinion around on them, and they've proved that they belong in the EPL. So I don't see them having a bad show with who they play, Liverpool.
No, they're playing Burnley.
Okay, so I don't think that's going to make a difference in how they play. I hope they beat down on Burnley. So I don't know. I think Brentford's a really good team now, and I think they got what it takes. This is an easy one for them.
As you know me well enough, I feel like I wanted you to fall into my trap. There is only one answer, which is the Brentford that we saw against Liverpool and West Ham is the Brentford we're going to see. So in the alluded to Chelsea game, Chelsea had 5 shots, 1 on target, and 1-0. Brentford had 17 shots and 7 on target. Then they play Leicester last week, who again should be a lot better than them. Outshot them, Brentford did, 15-10. Leicester put more on target, 6-5, but Brentford had 55% of the possession, and it took Leicester scoring a goal in the 74th minute to win. Brentford's a team. Like, Brentford is up there. I wouldn't be shocked if Brentford, come 2 months from now, are still in the European conversation. I would put Brentford in the same bucket as, at a minimum, as Everton, Leicester City, Tottenham. And just with the way they're playing, and particularly if they don't make a managerial change, and this is a hot take, I can see Brentford on the same level as Man United right now. Because watching the way Man United play and watching the way Brentford play, you cannot distinctly say that Manchester United are that much better than Brentford.
I can even step up from that. I could even say them coming back and being a lot closer to 4th or 5th position than Manchester Tottenham. I think they're organized enough to do that. Their attack they impressed me with Chelsea so bad. Like, that turned it around for me. I said, this is a team that's got Chelsea on its back for a while, for a long time. And not any team can do that.
Yeah. Yep. And that Chelsea game was Edouard Mendy sitting on his head to win the game. I think you said it without saying it. I think that Brentford take care of Burnley, even though it's at Burnley. Probably just going to be a 2-0, but it's going to be a 2-0 game where Burnley doesn't lay a glove on them. Very impressed by them. Want to see more from them. Definitely excited to watch them progress. So, working counterclockwise, Man City are hosting Crystal Palace. Should be a no fuss game. Should be a no fuss game. Should be a game where City stamp approval on the game and move on with life. But I mean, we did also think the same with Southampton with City, and they drew that game. We did think the same with Burnley, and yeah, they won, but they only won 2-0. So do we think that this is an easy three points for Man City where they put their foot down? Do we think they struggle? I mean, Man City are, let's just call a spade. They are coming off an EFL Cup loss, their first one in 5 years, where they used all their starters, basically. They had to play as hard as they could, and then they lost 0-0, and then in penalties to West Ham. So it's not like they have a rested team. Am I thinking too much into this, or do you think that Man City takes care of business?
3-0. All there needs to be said about it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, easy enough. I just didn't know if there was anything you were worried about. I mean, Crystal Palace are playing a little bit better. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Crystal Palace are the greatest team ever, but I mean, we're talking about a team who, since losing their last few games. Here's Crystal Palace's last few games. 2-2 against West Ham, 3-0 win against Tottenham, 3-0 loss against Liverpool, 1-1 Brighton, 2-2 Leicester, 2-2 Arsenal, 1-1 Newcastle. So they seem to be the experts in drawing, but in that you have a draw against the fourth place team, firmly beating a Tottenham team, a draw against the fifth place team, a draw against a team that a lot of people thought were in the top four, and a draw against an Arsenal team that people rated highly. And in that Arsenal game, they were winning that until the 96th minute. So I don't think that they're going to roll over and have their bellies rubbed. But with all that being said, in that good run of play, you do see that Palace lost 3-0 at Liverpool. So in the back of City's mind, they got to at least match Liverpool. And I think they will. I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be a 3-0 win because as you can see with these teams, these three teams, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're playing against each other every week. So we'll see. Moving on to Chelsea, they will be 3-0. Moving on to Chelsea, they will be going to the home of the richest team in the history of professional sports, who are also 0-4-5 this season. What do we think Newcastle can get out of this game?
The best that they can do is an honorable loss of 3-0, maybe. I think. Yeah, this is going to be an ass kicking, and I'm going to choose other games to watch.
I love that you're saying a 3-0 loss would be honorable, and you're probably right. But I mean, there was that moment a couple weeks ago where Newcastle took a lead like right at the beginning of the game against Tottenham, and everybody was all, "Oh, this is the new Newcastle. We're going to be here." And then everybody remembered this is a winless team who have only drawn 4 games. They are a terrible team. The Saudi billions are not there yet. They suck. The only player who would even, quite frankly, would even make the bench for a top 6 team is probably Callum Wilson. And he would be a break glass option at striker. Maybe Joe Willock. Maybe in a pinch. But they are so low on talent. the best thing for them is at least until January when they could start spending those billions and billions of dollars, just don't get beat too bad. Like, watch out for your goal difference. And try to keep it together. I mean, it's too early to really look at records, but right now they are 3 points behind Leeds, who are on -8 goal difference, and Newcastle are on -9. Then if you take a look up, you have Southampton, who are at -4 and 8 points. And then you have Crystal Palace at -3 and 9 points. Newcastle just needs to stay relevant enough. I don't think, even if they spend $175 million in January, I don't think this is a mid-table team even. So it's a home game. I see a 2-0 for Chelsea. Maybe that's optimistic. I don't know.
I see a 5-0, but if Newcastle can call themselves a team, I think they'll be able to pull off a 3-0 loss.
If they're able to pull it out, geez, that's embarrassing. That 3-0 would be them showing up. Wow. So the last 10 o'clock game will be Liverpool versus Brighton. Brighton, they're in 5th. They have 15 points. They also haven't won in 4 games. 3 draws and a loss.
And they're not going to win this one.
I mean, I can't see Liverpool dropping points here. I just can't. I also can't see this being as easy of a game. I'll see a 2-0 for Liverpool. It's going to be a hard-fought 2-0. Brighton play good football. They just don't have the guys that can score the goals. They only have 9 goals this season, but they've also only allowed 9. I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love to see Liverpool controlling the game. I have seen that Thiago is back in training, so that's a good thing. Fabinho isn't, but I don't think you really need a defensive mid for this game. Kaida looks healthy, which is great, particularly after he had to come off after the red card against Pogba last week. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I put the Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City games together because everything is really going to be, okay, you won, but how much did you win by? Because I feel like this might come down to like a goal difference type thing. I think it's straightforward that Liverpool are going to win. Keep the only unbeaten record in England. It'd be nice if Salah could score again because he's on a quite lethal scoring streak. He scored in 11 straight matches in all competitions. Yeah, I mean, especially after winning 5-0 last week against United, anything less than an impressive performance against Brighton would be a shock. And again, a narrative that I've been going through is Liverpool trying to rebuild off of 2021 into 21-22. This was a match they lost last year. They lost at home against Brighton last year. So that's 3 points gained from last year. So, I mean, I haven't quite gone into that a lot lately, but this is just another point where Liverpool can rebuild from what was a lost season. So it's an interesting narrative to look at. So I'm seeing 2-0 Liverpool. Did you say 3-0 Liverpool?
I say this is 5-0 Liverpool.
Well, I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. And I know we've been, mainly you've been, and not giving you a hard time about it. I know you've been anti-Brighton, but I mean, it might be for good reason. I mean, since they won that game in the league against Leicester City, they've looked kind of weak. And I know we really looked at what did they do against City, Leicester in the cup, and then Liverpool. They lost to City, they lost to Leicester, although they get taken the penalties, and now they got to play Liverpool. So I have a feeling that this is going to shut off any conversation on is Brighton a team to watch. So we'll see. Now on paper and with implications, the game of the weekend. I'm going to cut through the actual game preview and really get back to a point that we tried to make a couple weeks ago. How does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer keep his job? Period. How does he keep his job? What does he have to do to stay the manager of Manchester United?
He needs to tell everybody to pass the ball to the fucking Cristiano Ronaldo. That's what it is. Because you get all these other leaders that want to take control of the game. And even if Cristiano's not in perfect form or not in the form that he was before, at least it gives everybody a target that they all want to be. Bruno wants to be the target. Pogba wants to be the target. Ronaldo wants to be the target. Sancho, too shy to be the target, but he could, I don't know, everybody wants to lead and nobody wants to follow. And I think that's what Ole is not getting, or maybe the players are too big, too egotistical to want the fame for themselves. But it's something that something needs to be fixed. I don't know. I don't know the key to it. I'm maybe just talking out of my ass here, but they need to win. At the end of the day, they need to win, and they need to win consistently because they started off hot. They had a dry spell, then things got really bad. Now things are terrible after that loss with Liverpool. Something needs to happen, something more organized. First, Harry Maguire needs to get the fuck out of there. I don't know. Anxiety. I have anxiety about this team.
So I don't want to take away from the Tottenham side of this game. I do, by the way, I do think United are going to win this game. They have to. They have to. Now, it might be ugly. It might be like a 2-1 late. It might be like the West Ham game that they played earlier this season, where they were losing, came back, and then a missed penalty, something crazy happens. United have to win this game. If United don't win this game, like this might be a situation, I know I'm jumping around, where if they're losing at halftime, Ollie may not be told to come out for the second half. I very much so have to take off my partiality bias. Watching back last week's highlights of the Liverpool massacre, just the way the crowd booed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer off the field at Old Trafford. Somebody made a really good comment. When you walk off the field at Old Trafford from the dugout side, you have to go across the entire pitch, which for Man U and their great years was usually an opportunity for everybody to get clapped off the pitch. Sir Alex Ferguson, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes. By the way, I don't know if you've seen the Paul Scholes foot video, but if you haven't, we're going to talk about that next. So you might want to look at Paul Scholes' foot because that's a spicy one. All of them were used to that long walk down past the fans. Everybody gets clapped off the field. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was rained with boos for 3 minutes, head down, tail between his legs, crying for daddy. So if they don't pull out this week, they are going to lose their mind. And I also don't know if you saw after one of the goals, I think it was the third goal. It was actually quite funny. You see Cristiano Ronaldo doing this, like swashing with his hands, because that's how Ali coaches. He doesn't say, go here, do this. He'll just do this with his hands. And Ronaldo, when Liverpool scored, was just doing this with his hands, mocking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So that's why it's funny that you say you need to get the offense to run through Cristiano. Cristiano Ronaldo is bad for this team. He is. He wasn't the right player to bring in. And I mean, it's great that they have him, but him being so childish, and again, I don't know how much of the highlights you saw of the Liverpool United game last week. End of the first half, Ronaldo has a decent chance against Alisson, and Alisson kind of pushes it out of the way, and Ronaldo is trying to get the ball in the end line, and he can't get the ball. It's sheltered out of bounds, and then he kicks the Liverpool player on the ground. And he kicks him because he's furious that he couldn't get the job done. So I don't know if that's really what you want as the guy for your team. And when you look at results, to be fair, you don't see great results here from United. I mean, a lot of needing to come back late, looking weak defensively. And mind you, this little stretch they've had, Leicester, Atalanta, Liverpool, Spurs, Atalanta, City, then they play Watford, which of course is easy, but Villarreal, Chelsea, Arsenal. They got to put something together here. Big time. Big time. Now, United fans can say, well, we have a tough run of games and nobody would do well in that run of games. And I hear that. I do. But let's give another example. And I don't want to make this about another competitive team, but the last 5 games for Liverpool. Away to Porto, 1-5-1. Home against City, drew 2-2. Away to Watford, 1-5-0. Away to Atletico Madrid, 1-3-2. Away to Man United, 1-5-0. And yeah, it was Preston, but away to Preston, 1-2-0. That's what a good team does. A good team doesn't say, oh, we're on the road. Oh, we're playing tough competition. They say, we're a good team. We have a job to do. United are scared. And they need leadership. You mentioned Harry Maguire. He's the captain. That's great. He ain't a leader. They have a captain that's not a leader. They have a coach that's not a leader. They have their best player in Cristiano Ronaldo, who is so egotistical. Bruno Fernandes is scared to do anything. You mentioned Sancho. He's not integrated into the team. United have spent 2 seasons doing everything to get Jadon Sancho for him to do nothing. And not just do nothing, but not be involved in an offense that would allow him to do well. I don't know the way forward. I think Ali should have been fired after the Liverpool game. The fact that he made it to this weekend is a shock to me. I do have United winning the game. I do think they're better than Spurs. Spurs have their own problems. And I think United will come through. But if they don't, Ali's gone. Ali's completely and totally gone. And it's his own fault. It's his own fault. What is your prediction on the game?
I think it's going to be a win. Not an easy one. Probably going to be a 1-0 fighter. Because Tottenham's still Tottenham, and they can get you on a counterattack. better than any other team could, better than Leicester, So I think somebody's going to walk away with a bloody nose, and hopefully it's not Man United. I want to keep the faith, but I also want to be conservative because I know that Manchester has got wounds, deep wounds right now that they need to fix. So it could go either way. I mean, it's going to be a good game, I think, and Tottenham's not going to let down. They don't give a shit about that loss, and they don't give a shit about their momentum. So I don't know. Hopefully, it's going to be a good one, but I hope Cristiano does something. He really needs it.
Well, I mean, even in the game last week against Liverpool, he tried to put a stamp on the game, both by trying to injure Curtis Jones and then him getting the goal, which was then deemed offsides, which I loved every moment of. What I don't want to undervalue for 2 seconds is the fact that I went on a 5-minute rant about how shit Man United are, and I still have them winning. So that just speaks to how helter-skelter I think that Tottenham are. So I don't want that to be undervalued for 2 seconds, that I think that Tottenham are a very fractured team. I would have sold Harry Kane. I see a lot of Felipe Coutinho, Liverpool, Alexis Sanchez, Arsenal vibes here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be a part of this. So I'm just gonna walk around the field. I see a lot of those vibes, and that's not good because I think Tottenham are a good team, and I don't think they need it. So Tottenham ain't smelling roses right now either. I mean, it's shocking. I will continue to say it is shocking that Tottenham are 5-0-4 with a -4 goal difference. -4. -4. Villa, I mean, they're at -4, and Southampton are at -4. Southampton is in 16th. Crystal Palace is in 15th with a -3. Tottenham's not a great team, but they're winning games. So I think that United will still win. Now, implications-wise, this may be a huge game. It is dull as a doornail, but a huge game. Norwich hosting Leeds. I can't express how important this is for Norwich City. They are playing the 17th team in the table at home. They are winless. Leo, does Norwich City win?
No. Leeds 2-0 on this one. Thank you.
I think so too. Jeez. I don't think Leeds are as bad as 17th, even though they've looked very poor this season. To steal a Southern phrase, Norwich City, bless your heart. I mean, I struggle to see a team play this poorly. Leo, they've scored 2 goals and allowed 23 this season. Digest that for a minute. Breathe that in. Just trying to think. You allowed 2, or you've scored 2 this season. 2. Watford and Leicester City should hang their heads in shame that they allowed Norwich to score. Yikes. And I don't think they're going to win that game. I don't think they're going to win either. And I'm looking at their schedule. I don't know the next time they may win. I mean, they got Brentford. They got Southampton at home. So maybe that could be a place where they could get something done. I mean, Norwich. Hey, Yikes. Yikes. I mean, the easy pick would be to say, oh, Norwich against Newcastle at home. That'd be a win. Norwich doesn't play Newcastle at home until April 23rd. By that point, Newcastle will not look like the Newcastle we see now. Norwich is going to have to wait a while to get a win. I see a 2-0 leads as well. Very fun one. Also on Sunday, Villa hosting West Ham. You know my feelings on Aston Villa. I personally would have thought that of these two teams, if you told me one was in 13th and one was in 4th, I would have thought that Villa was in 4th and West Ham was in 13th. I have, looking at their results, I have no idea why I have this feeling about Aston Villa. They've lost 3 in a row now. So I think that I need to take off my tinted glasses and just realize that Villa are an average team. And as much as our good greasy-haired friend may not fit for Man City, he was the way that Aston Villa were competitive. I'm talking about Jack Grealish, by the way. And Villa are just a mess. I think they need the win here to really show that they have a viable pulse for this season, but I don't think they're going to get it. I think West Ham are a good team, and I think West Ham are going to come through with the 3 points here, even on the road. Leo?
I think I've always kind of dug West Ham a little bit. Let's see.
I mean, and while you're having a thought on your thoughts, let's remember, West Ham are there's a plus and a minus to what I'm about to say. West Ham are on the highest of highs that they could be. They just knocked Man City out of the EFL Cup. And I know you could laugh at the League Cup, the EFL Cup, but that's City's tournament. Like, City has won it for, I think it's 5 consecutive years. And they took care of business. That being said, while you're thinking about whatever could be going on, West Ham also had to go very strong for that game. So keep that all in mind. And now they got to go on the road. So, your thoughts?
You've always preferred Aston Villa.
Yes.
I've always preferred West Ham.
Yes.
I think. I've been leaning more towards Aston Villa now that I get your points. I see them as being a team that can put bloody noses. I think they're both shit. I don't particularly like watching these. I think these are lower type of games that I just kind of, I don't know. I don't enjoy much. West Ham's going to go towards the bottom of the table pretty quickly here, I think, within the second half of the whole season. It's going to be a West Ham win for me. But I don't know. It's not going to be my favorite game of the weekend. That's for sure.
Well, here's what I would then have to say to that. And I'm kind of counterbalancing your points here. If results were to hold, you got West Ham winning. We both have Tottenham losing. They still have a 3-point buffer in the top 5 or in the top 4, because then they'd be on 20. United would be on 17. I mean, if you look at the table now again, it's early. West Ham are ahead of Tottenham, United, Leicester, Arsenal. So let's just hit to that question. Of the teams that are ahead or behind West Ham right now, which of those does West Ham finish above? Do they finish above Tottenham? Well, let's start. Did they finish ahead of Brighton?
I think they finished around 9th or 10th place.
Okay. Do they finish ahead of Brighton?
No,
Okay. No.
no,
Okay. Do they finish ahead of Tottenham?
yes. No, no, they don't.
Did they finish ahead of United?
No.
Did they finish ahead of Everton?
That's a tough one. I think they're going to finish right around the same. They might be tied with Everton.
Okay. Did they finish ahead of Leicester?
No.
Did they finish ahead of Arsenal?
Yes.
So 8th or 9th, that's where you got them. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. So you think, okay, so hang with the logic here. You have slated Brighton, and you still think that Brighton's going to finish ahead of West Ham. So you think Brighton are a better team than West Ham?
I think so. Yes.
Interesting.
Now I do.
You had a second thought about it, didn't you?
I've had my own come to Jesus meetings
There you go.
about this.
Okay. Last game of the weekend, Monday Night Football. Wolves hosting Everton. Bold pick of the weekend here. Bold pick of the weekend, 3-0 Wolves.
Oof.
3-0 Wolves.
I think it's going to be 3-1 Everton. And this might be the best game of the weekend.
I think under the lights, at the Molineux, Everton have one win in the last 5, lost the last 2, completely capitulated against Watford. Big word of the day, capitulated. Whereas Wolves have 3 wins and a draw in the last 4. They've started scoring a little bit more. They look like a team. They look like they got some stuff going on. We slated them early, or we didn't really slate them early, but we just said it doesn't make sense. Wolves are a good team. Why are they not winning? Well, they're winning now, and they still look like a good team. I think Wolves are going to take this as an opportunity to put their foot down. And Everton have been beaten on the road this season. Soundly, they lost 3-0 to Villa away from home. And I think that Wolves might be a little bit better than Villa, which again is me coming to the realization that maybe Villa is not the same team I thought they were. I like Wolves. That middle of the pack, and this really is my counterpoint to how I asked you, where did you put West Ham? I think that the EPL this season has a very strong top 3 and then a very competitive middle 15 or maybe middle 12-ish. And then the bottom teams are really bad. Like from like West Ham down to Watford, literally, maybe not Watford, Aston Villa. So from West Ham to Aston Villa. So that's 4th to 13th right now. Anything can happen. Anything. Wouldn't be shocked if Wolves finishes 4th. Wouldn't be shocked if Villa finishes 4th. Wouldn't be shocked if Everton, wouldn't be shocked if any of those teams finish 4th. And really, to be fair, a lot of that is because of the instability at Man U. It depends how long Ollie stays. United should be 4th. They should be. But as it lays right now, any team from 4th to 13th can beat each other. They're so tight, so competitive. And to me, that is why when you talk about up to the top 3, that draw that Liverpool had against Brentford is going to really sting. Because, I mean, does it sting as much as City's loss to Spurs? Maybe. But I think that Liverpool went the lowest into that kind of 4 through 13 cluster, and they drew. I know City lost to Tottenham, but they drew. That may come back to bite them because, of course, Chelsea lost to City, and then Liverpool's got the 3 draws, which 2 of them were to Chelsea and City. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out. And I think going back to this weekend's game, Wolves is going to show that they're right there in that mix, and that's going to come with a resounding victory over Everton. So we're wrapping up here. What is your key thing to watch for the weekend then? What is your when we have this conversation on Monday, recapping the weekend, what is going to be your highlight? If you're looking in Leo's crystal ball, what are we going to be talking about on Monday?
On Monday, we're going to be talking about the Everton game.
Well, I'm sorry. I apologize. Tuesday, because I forgot that Everton and Wolves play on Tuesday. So what is going to be the key thing that we're talking about on Tuesday?
I think we're going to be talking about another one of those Manchester United conversations, I think, because that's the team that has the most instability right now, right? Besides Newcastle, but Newcastle is more on a positive note. So, but the instability that's at Newcastle is almost the inversion of what's going on in Manchester United, where their team is just kind of slowly crumbling. And what's exciting about that is, you're going to see a manager out, you're going to see a new manager in, preferably Conte. And you're also going to see a good team full of stars either come up to the challenge or just completely keep on being a shit show, which is always good to watch, right? Because you see a lot of good memes out there and good roasting, and it's not good for Manchester United, obviously, but it's good for the sport, I think, because it's entertaining, and that's what wraps you up. And then that also gives opportunity to new teams to come up that over the course of EPL history have not been able to, because of a good team like Manchester United. So there could be a new Manchester United in town, boys and girls. So maybe I think that's what it is.
See, I think, and now we can really get into it. I don't think Manchester United, for like competition's purposes, are relevant anymore. I think that Manchester United, especially over the last few years, have just become a soap opera. They're just here to sell tickets. They're not a part of any conversation in winning the league and being competitive in the league. There are 3 teams that are so far ahead of them, with 3 managers that are so far ahead of them, with 3 development systems that are so far ahead of them, that United need a reboot. And I also, in the same way, think that getting a guy like Conte, that's going to be glue rather than tape. And they need tape. They need Gorilla Glue. They need something they need cement even. And yeah, Conte might win them some trophies. And I know I'm so lightly saying might win trophies. I mean, that's what United are there for. They're there to win trophies. But I don't think it's going to change the culture. Like, Chelsea needed a culture change. They got Thomas Tuchel. City needed stability and viability in Europe, and they got Pep. I could get into another long conversation about how them not winning a UCL title means that Pep is a failure, but not going there right now, even though that's my feeling. Liverpool needed a culture change. They got Jurgen Klopp. United need a culture change. And I think if we're talking about United Tottenham, it's going to be about how United won that game. And that is yet another week that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stays in the dugout, and another week that United are behind. And another week where United have an excuse. And another week where we say Ronaldo bailed them out, or Lingard off the bench, or Sancho finally did something. And that's going to be at their detriment. Look, I don't like Manchester United. I'm a Liverpool fan, but it is fun when they're good. I want them to be good. I wanted to come into this season with 4 teams fighting for the title. 4 teams at the top of their strength going at it. And one of them didn't show up. United didn't show up. And I would love to be wrong. I'd love for United to get a real manager and set a real team, but they have 1 point in their last 12. It's like 11 points in their last 4 games. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it when you have 3 teams as good as City, Liverpool, and Chelsea are. That's not going to do it. They're not showing up to the party. And of course, that's going to be the topic that everybody's going to have on their lips until something is done. So we're going to wrap up here. As I'm wrapping up, I do want to point out, if this goes out to anyone that wants to see more of me, I was on Redmen TV's Club Legends show, and that will be coming out here in a little bit. And you can see me talking about some fun stuff on social media. So, Leo, I'm going to wrap it up here. Leo, how are we feeling? How are we doing? Thank you very much.
Oh, I will be in town watching games. I'll miss the first ones tomorrow, but definitely going to catch the Sunday and the Monday ones. So I'm excited, boys and girls.
All right. Later, Leo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.